Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Avinash. Today we are going to build a Google OAuth authentication system in our project. So we will be using advanced texts like Node.js, Express, MongoDB, Passport.js, and also the Google OAuth. This is the exact authentication flow which you will see in production ready applications. So without further ado, let's get started into it. So let's open the terminal. First of all, I am creating a directory. I'm opening this project in the VS Code. So first of all, open the terminal in the VS Code. So first of all, we have to initialize the empty Node.js project. How we will do that? Using the npm command, npm init-y. So we will be creating a TypeScript config file because we are using the TypeScript. So tsc dash dash init. Okay, if you don't have TypeScript in your machine, so you can use this command npx tsc dash dash init. So this will same do the same job for you guys. Now we will install a lot of dependencies for our project. So let's do that. npm I express mongoose cookie session passport passport Google OAuth 2.0. Okay. So these are the dependencies that we are going to install. As we are using TypeScript, so we have to install the types for them also. So let's do that. So npm I dash dash have as dev dependency. So these all are the TypeScript dependency that we are need in order to work with the TypeScript. So as you can see, our project is almost ready. Now we will go to the tsconfig file and we will do something called the outdate to the slash dist, and the root dir for the src. That are the things that you need to know if you are working with the TypeScript. Now we will create a source directory. Okay, inside the source directory we will be creating a index.ts file. Okay, now our nodejs TypeScript project is ready with our all the dependencies, all the TypeScript configurations and all these things. Now you have to set up the Google Cloud account and you have to create a new project inside the Google Cloud. So let me show you that also. So guys, you can go to the console cloud google.com. Okay, so here you can create a Google OAuth credentials. You can go to the credentials and create credential for the OAuth client ID, and application type will be web application. Web client name you can give. You have to add the JavaScript origin. So our JavaScript origin is localhost 3000. Okay, and redirect URI will be this one. You have to add this one in your redirect UI. So these things you have to do and click on create. You will be having a client ID and client secret. Okay, so you can carry these two information from this cloud console.cloud.google.com. So in order to work with OAuth with the Google, you need two credentials for this. Okay, now what you have to do now, you can go to the VS Code and create a new file .env file. In this .env file, we will be putting all the environment variables. So you can put all the client ID, client secret, server secret, all these things we are putting in this .env file. This is the an example of env file that you will be having. You will be having port, MongoDB URI. You can go to the MongoDB Atlas and you can get a URI from that, or even you can get the URI from the localhost database also. And you have to give the client ID and client secret over here. Google callback URL that we provided on the Google Cloud account, and also the session secret. So we have done the setup of our project. Now we will create a model for the user. So let's create a model directory inside the source and create a user.ts file. So inside this model we are having is user.ts file. So let's create the user schema first of all. First, user schema is going to be a, see, this is the type of the schema coming from the Mongoose, and new schema, and we will having the Google ID because we are storing the Google ID also. The type would be string, required would be true, and unique would be true. Now we will be having a profile picture for the user also. This would be also the TypeScript string required is true. We actually don't require these things. Okay, see, now we are having the user schema. Let's create an interface for user. So let's export an interface. uh, I interface user, which will extends the document which is coming from the Mongoose. Okay, email is true. So this is the interface. Now export the model over here. From here, export default mongoose dot model, which will be type of the interface of user, and the name of this will be user. The name of will be user, and the schema of this will be user schema. So we are done with our interface of the user, schema of the user, and all these things. So we have done the user model over here. Now we will configure our passport. Okay, so we will be using passport for authentication. So to configure our passport, let's create a new folder, config. Inside this config, let's create a passport.ps file. Okay, here we will do the configuration for the passport. So what we need the client ID, client secret, and the callback URL. So guys, I have put all these things over here. Now we will serialize the user dot serialize user. Okay, it will be the user. So it will be type of, let's say, any, and we will have a done function over here. So this is the, you can find over the passport documentation also. This then will having a null and the user dot id. Okay, so this is the coming from the passport documentation. You can go and find it out. And we have to create a function for deserialize the user. It will also the same. It will be an async function which will have the id, which will be the type of string, and the done function as same. The try catch, what we will do, we will get the user from the database. So user dot find by id, we will pass the id and dot the execute. Now we will call the done with the null and the user. If we are having any error, then we are just call the done with error as error, and the and user will be undefined. Okay, we are having the error. Now we will create a middleware for the passport to use, and inside this we will create a new Google strategy which will be coming from the passport also. Strategy coming from as Google strategy. Okay. Inside this we will be having a client ID, client secret, and the callback URL. These things we have to provide. Okay. See, this is taking two arguments. First is the options. The second one is the a callback function. This is the callback function. So let's create a callback function for this. This will be an async. We will be having the access token, which will be the type of string. Refresh token, which will also be type of string. Profile, which will be type of profile coming from the passport, and a done function. Let's give it n type as of now. Now we will create a try catch log over here. In the catch, if we are having an error, we will call the done function with the error as error, and we will say the user is undefined. Otherwise, what we will do, we will say the Google ID is going to be a profile.id. Now get the user will be await user.find one, which will have the Google ID, okay, and dot execute. And if we are having no user, then we will create a new user, okay. So user is going to be in await user.create, but it will get the Google ID. Then name would be profile dot display name, and the email, which would be the profile dot emails dot, if we are having emails, then put of 0, and if we are having the same thing again, then we are going to put the value of this, same as for the picture, which will coming from the photos, and this will go on the picture. So there is an error which is saying that uh, this should be over here, okay. So this async function should inside this new strategy, okay. So that was the error of this parenthesis. Now we are having the passport. Now let's export this. Export default passport. Now we have done all the configuration for the passport. What we have done, the serialize the user, deserialize the user, get the user from the database, and set it in the user. And we are having the another strategy, that is Google strategy. If we are having any user in the database, then we are getting this, otherwise we are creating a new user. So this is how we have configured this passport. Now let's create the auth routes in the auth.ts file. So first of all, let's create the router. Coming from the router from the express, now we will create a get route for the slash auth slash Google. Okay, so here we will say passport dot authenticate with the Google and the scope should be the profile, the profile and the email we need. This is going to be an array. Okay, like this. The same as for the callback, because after the Google authentication it will be redirected to the slash auth slash Google slash callback. Okay, so we will handle that slash callback, and here we will say that passport dot authenticate with the Google, and here we will pass two things: the failure redirect, which will be this slash auth slash failure, and one will be have the success redirect, which will be slash auth slash profile. Okay, now we will create the failure and the profile routes also. So in the uh, failure, what we will say, we say slash failure, and we will have a request will come from the express, one response which will be also coming from the express response. Here we will say response dot send the authentication failed, like this. Before going to the profile route, we have to check that the user is logged in or not. So for that we have to create a simple middleware, so who is logged in for right now. So let's create a simple middleware also. So function, it will be a function, let's say ensure authentication. Okay, so we will name this. The request would be the type of request, response would be type of the response, and we will have the next, which will be the next function type of. Okay, okay, this should be request. Okay, so we will check if request as any, because we are typing it any as of now, is authenticated, and the request as any is authenticated. We will say return next. Okay, otherwise what we will do, we will just uh, response dot redirect it to the slash or slash Google for login again. Okay, now let's create the profile route. So this will be same as this one, and here we will be having the profile, the request response. But before that we have to check who is logged in, so we will say the ensure auth. Okay, right now we will get the user from the request as any dot user, because we are having the user inside this ensure auth. This ensure auth will give us an user. Now we will send a page which will have some HTML. So let me copy that here. So this is the response that we are sending. It will have the HTML body. In this body we are having the h1 profile, and we are showing the name, email, and the image of the user who is logged in. And we will be removing this one. Now let's create the logout also. So router dot get slash logout. It will have the same thing as this one, this one. Here what we will say request dot logout. If we are having any error, then we will just say return next. Okay, with the error. Otherwise, what we will do, we will say request dot session, which we have dot destroy. Here we will having the callback function, let's say error one, and if we will clear the cookies, connect dot sid, okay, session id, and we will just response dot redirect it to the home page. So this is how we will do the logout, okay, of the user. And the one thing that we need to do, we need to export this router and export default router. So we have implemented all the auth routes, okay, to login, logout, and all these things. Now we will be implementing the index.ts file. So now we will be creating our server and connect it with the MongoDB. So in this file, index.ts, first of all, let's create an instance of Express. Once app is equal to Express, we have to import the Express. Now let's define the port. Let's say 3000. As of now, we are using the Express session to manage the session between the client and server. So app.use, we are creating a new session from the Express session, right? And in this session, we will have an object which will have the secret. Secret is, let's say, you can give anything. Otherwise, we are having the secret in the .env file also, so you can get from there also. Apart from these, we need the resave as false, save uninitialized uh, false, and the cookie, which will be, let's say, and it will be an object of max age, like this. Now we are having the session. Now let's initialize the passport. So app.use passport, coming from the passport.ts, import passport from config slash passport. So passport dot, first of all initialize, then we will be having passport dot session. Okay, now let's create a home route also. So app dot get the slash route, and we will be having request, which will be type of request, coming from the express, response, which will be type of response, coming from the express. It will send a simple h1, which will say login with Google, and here we will be having an anchor tag which will and having an href as, and it will say slash or slash Google, and we will say login, like this. And also we are having the routes, so we will use the auth routes also. So if we are having any request on slash auth, we will say that router, coming from auth auth.ts. Now we will create a server and connect with the database. So first of all, mongoose dot connect, we will be having the URI which will say the process.env dot mongo underscore URI. Okay, after this, we will say that first of all, log the that DB connected. After that, we will start the server immediately. So app dot listen to the port that we are having, and here we will be having an callback function which will say server is listening, like that. All right, guys, now we have created all the files connected with the database, and now let's try to run it. So what you have to do before starting the server, you can go to the scripts and you have to write some of the scripts. Let's write for the first of all the dev script. As we install the ts node dev, what it will do, it will transcompile our TypeScript code into the JavaScript code and run it. As entry changes, we respawn a new thread. Okay, trans file only src slash index.ts. So npm run dev. So as you can see, we are having database connected and server is listening. So we are here on the home page. Now let's try to log in. So as you can see, we can now log in with our Google account and we are having all the information, and as you can see, we are having the session also. See, if I refresh it, it is having all the information who is logged in right now. So if I save it, as you can see, we are having all the information in both the tabs. If I open a new window and paste it over here, there also we are having the same information. All right, guys, we have successfully implemented the login with the Google functionality in our Node.js Express using Passport. Now all the code will be given in the description below. You can go and check it out. If you are having any doubt, feel free to comment. And thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. I will see you in the next one.